I started a business at 65. No experience, no savings, no blueprint. Just me, a quiet room, and a heart that wouldn't stop whispering, try. I had no idea what I was doing. I had spent my whole life doing what I was supposed to do. I was the reliable one, the caregiver, the good employee, the partner who stayed. And then one day, I wasn't any of those things. Life changed, or maybe it unraveled. And for the first time in decades, I had to ask myself, now what? And now, I'm 70. I'm running my own business. I set my own hours. I make the rules. I work with people who light me up. I wake up with purpose. Not every day is perfect, far from it, but every day is mine. If you think it's too late for you, let me tell you something real, it's not. Not even close. I don't care if you're 55 or 75. If you're still breathing, you're still becoming. You're not done. Life hasn't forgotten you. And you're not too old to start over. You're not too late. You're right on time. I spent most of my life taking care of everyone else. I was the wife, the mother, the worker who stayed late, the one who always had a solution, always holding things together. I played so many roles that I forgot who I was underneath it all. And when all of that stopped, when the marriage ended, when retirement came, when the house got quiet, I looked around and didn't recognize anything. Especially myself. It was strange. I finally had time, but I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know what I liked anymore. I'd walk into a room and just stand there. Not because I was old, not because I was tired, but because I didn't know who I was without someone needing something from me. Loneliness hit different in those years. It wasn't just being alone. It was feeling invisible. Like the world had moved on and forgotten I was still here. Friends had their own lives. The kids were busy. And no one prepares you for that silence after a life full of noise. You don't expect to feel lost at this age. You think by now you should have it all figured out. But I didn't. I felt like a beginner in my own life. So here's what I want to do in this video. I want to tell you the whole story. Not just the pretty parts, not just the ending where everything looks polished and nice. I'm going to walk you through all of it. The fear, the doubt, the days I thought I'd made a huge mistake. The nights I cried alone wondering, what am I even doing? I'll share the little wins too. The first time I made a sale. The moment I realized I could trust myself. The time someone told me I inspired them and I believed it. If you're over 50, over 60, over 70, and you feel like life has passed you by, or you're wondering if there's still time to try something new, this is for you. I see you. I know what it's like to feel behind, to feel forgotten. But I also know what it's like to find yourself again, to come alive when everyone else thinks your story is over. So stay with me. Watch till the end, because I'm going to give you truth, not fluff. Real lessons, real encouragement, and maybe, just maybe, a reason to believe in yourself again. Before we go any further, hit that subscribe button. Not because it's a YouTube thing, but because I want you to be part of this space. A space where starting over at any age is normal. A space where you're not invisible. You're valued here. Alright, let's keep going. When I was a little girl, I wanted to be a writer. Or maybe a teacher. I don't really remember which came first. But I do remember how it felt to imagine, to dream, to believe the world was wide open. Somewhere along the way, life started handing out responsibilities and I kept saying yes. School, marriage, kids, work, bills, schedules. I put my dreams on a high shelf and told myself I'd get back to them later. But later never came. The years passed and I became what everyone needed me to be. I was proud of that in some ways. I showed up. I kept it all together. But there's a kind of quiet grief that grows when you keep putting yourself last. It's not loud, not dramatic. It's just there under the surface, slowly dulling your spark. Then came the breaking point. For me, it was retirement and divorce back to back. Two things I thought would bring peace ended up shaking the ground beneath me. One day, I woke up to a quiet house, no job to go to, no partner beside me, and a calendar that was wide open. First, it felt like freedom. But then came the question I wasn't ready for. Who am I now? I didn't have an answer. I didn't recognize myself without the roles I'd played for so long. And I'll be honest with you, I was scared, I was unsure, and I was emotionally broke. But under all that fear was something else. A flicker, a tiny whisper of curiosity. Like, what if? What if there's more? What if I'm not done yet? One morning, I picked up an old journal I hadn't written in years. I sat by the window and just started scribbling thoughts. Nothing fancy, just what I was feeling. Then I went for a walk. No phone, just me and the breeze. That became a habit. And that small habit started to feel like something waking up inside me. One afternoon, I was chatting with a neighbor, just small talk, and she said something like, "You've always been so good at helping people with their little tech problems. You should charge for that." We laughed, but the idea stuck with me. Could I really turn that into something? I mean, who was going to take a 65-year-old woman seriously? I had no business degree, no startup money, no idea what I was doing. I told myself I was too old. I told myself people would laugh. I told myself it was silly. But I did it anyway. I sat down at my kitchen table with a pen, a notepad, and an old laptop. I Googled how to start a business. I watched free videos. I made a logo with one of those free websites. I made mistakes. I overthought everything. But I kept going. One tiny step at a time. That's where it started, not with a big plan, not with a loan or an investor, but with one little spark. One decision to try, even if it failed, even if it scared me. And honestly, that's when everything began to change. When I first decided to start my little business at 65, I thought the hard part would be the idea. Turns out, the real challenge was everything that came after the idea. The first time I tried to build a website, I sat at my dining table for 6 hours. 6. I watched tutorial after tutorial. I click one thing, mess it up, delete it, start over. Felt like learning a new language. In the dark. I didn't grow up with this stuff. I didn't know what SEO was or how to optimize a landing page. I just knew I wanted to help people. And I needed a way to show up online. And I made a lot of mistakes. Oh, I made so many mistakes. I accidentally sent a blank email to the 5 people who signed up for my newsletter. One of them was my daughter. She replied, "Nice email, Mom." Very mysterious. I laughed until I cried. But I fixed it. I learned. I didn't quit. I remember setting up my payment system and somehow I connected it to the wrong bank account. So my very first payment, $25 for a virtual tutorial session, went into a closed account. It took me 3 days and 2 phone calls to figure it out. And yet, even with all the hiccups, there were these little moments. My first real client came from a Facebook post I made without thinking much about it. She messaged me and said, "I've been looking for someone just like you." I stared at the screen in disbelief. Me? Really? That first session was nerve-wracking. I rehearsed what I'd say. I wrote out notes. My hands shook a little when the Zoom camera came on. But I did it. And afterward, she said, "That was more helpful than you know." I remember the day I got my first email subscriber that wasn't family. I refreshed the screen 3 times just to make sure it was real. I didn't know who they were or how they found me, but it felt like magic, like the world was listening, and I started asking for help more often. I joined a free online forum for beginners. I sent messages to people half my age asking how to do things. Some didn't respond, but some did. And I realized most people want to help if you're just honest and kind. None of this came fast. None of it came easy, but it came, piece by piece, step by step. That's the thing. You don't need to have it all figured out to begin. You just need to be willing to look silly, to get it wrong, to keep showing up anyway. And that's exactly what I did. There was a week, maybe 2, where I almost quit. I don't mean took a break or stepped back to reevaluate. I mean quit. Shut it all down, delete everything, walk away. My first big launch? A total flop. I spent weeks preparing, stayed up late writing emails, practicing my pitch. The day came, and nothing. One person signed up. One. And she was a friend who probably felt sorry for me. I sat on my couch that night in the dark, just staring at the floor. I felt humiliated. I thought, what am I doing? This is ridiculous. I'm too old for this mess. Then came the voices not in my head, but around me. Peers, old coworkers, even family. Why are you doing this? Shouldn't you be taking it easy? Are you really trying to be one of those online people now? They didn't mean harm, but their words stung. Made me question everything. And don't even get me started on the tech. Oh Lord, the tech. I once spent 2 hours trying to figure out why my camera wasn't working. Turned out I had my thumb over the lens. That was a humbling moment. Money was tight, too. I didn't have a cushion to fall back on. I was pulling from savings to keep things going, praying it would pay off. There were nights I'd stare at my online bank account and just feel this pit in my stomach. I thought, maybe I waited too long. Maybe this dream was meant for someone else. Someone younger. Someone with more energy and fewer bills. And honestly, I was just tired. Not just physically, but spiritually. Worn down. I said out loud, more than once, "This is too much." What was I thinking? But then, something happened. I got an email. A woman, 67 years old, said she'd been following my journey quietly. She said, "I saw your video last night, and it made me cry. You reminded me that I'm not invisible. You've inspired me to start writing again." I read that message 5 times. I sat there with tears in my eyes and thought, maybe that's the point. Maybe this whole thing isn't about money or numbers or polished success. Maybe it's about showing up. Maybe it's about lighting a candle for someone else who's been sitting in the dark, waiting for a sign. That was the shift. I stopped thinking of this as a business that needed to succeed. I started seeing it as a purpose, a calling, a way to connect. To say out loud, hey, I see you. And you're not too old. You're not too late. You're still needed. That email saved me. And from that moment on, I never looked at what I was building the same way again. When I look back on everything I've been through, the fear, the doubts, the failures, one thing stands out: age is not a limitation. It's an asset. At 70, I have something that no amount of youth or energy could replace: experience. Life has a way of teaching you lessons you can't learn any other way. I've lived through enough to know that setbacks don't mean the end. They're just part of the journey. Every wrinkle on my face, every gray hair, every story of heartbreak or joy, those are my assets. They've given me a strength I didn't know I had when I was younger. And patience. Oh, that's another gift of age. When you're young, you want everything now. You want instant results. But as you get older, you start to see that things take time. You understand that a slow, steady path is often the one that leads to lasting success. You stop rushing. You stop comparing yourself to everyone else. You realize it's your journey, and you'll get there at your own pace. Another lesson I've learned is that you don't need to have it all figured out. I didn't know what I was doing when I started. Hell, I barely knew what I was doing a year in. But that's okay. You don't need to have every step mapped out. It's perfectly fine to walk into the unknown. What matters is that you start, even if you're just taking one step at a time. We often feel pressured by society to have it all figured out by a certain age, as if we're supposed to have a clear, linear path laid out for us. But that's just not reality. Life is messy, unpredictable, and full of surprises. It's okay not to have everything figured out. You're allowed to take your time. And most importantly, you are allowed to reinvent yourself. Just because you've lived one chapter of your life doesn't mean the next one is written in stone. At any age, you can decide to rewrite the story. You can start a new chapter. If the old life no longer fits, don't be afraid to leave it behind. It's okay to outgrow your old life even at 70. In fact, it's necessary. You deserve to evolve. I had spent so many years defining myself by the roles I played: wife, mother, employee. But I'm more than that. I'm not confined to any title. I'm allowed to evolve into something new at any age. So, if you're feeling like your time has passed, if you think you're too old to make a change or to follow a new dream, let me tell you, you're not. The only thing that really matters is the belief that you're still capable of growth. Your potential is endless. It's never too late to start over. It's okay to outgrow your old life. It's okay to let go of the things that no longer serve you. You have the right to step into your next chapter, to embrace new dreams, to find new purpose. Life doesn't stop at 60 or 70. It keeps going, and so should you. Maybe you're sitting there right now feeling like it's too late. Maybe you feel like the world has passed you by, or that no one really sees you anymore. Maybe you're looking around at younger people feeling like they've got it all figured out, and you're wondering where your time went. But I'm here to tell you, you are not done yet. I know it can feel like the world is moving on without you, that your moment has passed. But listen to me, you have so much left to give. You're allowed to start. Right now, wherever you are. It's never too late to begin something new. Maybe you've thought about starting a YouTube channel. Maybe you've dreamed of writing a blog or sharing your story with the world. Maybe you've always wanted to paint, to mentor others, or to create a side hustle. Guess what? You can do all of that. You have the wisdom, the experience, and the drive. Age isn't a barrier, it's a bridge. A bridge that connects everything you've lived through to everything you're still capable of achieving. You are allowed to chase that dream. You are allowed to find joy, to feel alive again, to discover new passions. You deserve peace, joy, fulfillment, even now. Especially now. I know it can be daunting, and it's okay to feel uncertain. But what I want you to remember is this: the world needs your voice. It needs your experiences, your story, your wisdom. The younger generation, those starting out, they need your guidance. You have a treasure trove of knowledge that's invaluable. And it's time to share that with the world. You are worthy of creating something that excites you, something that fulfills you, something that makes you feel alive again. Don't let age be a reason not to begin. Let it be the reason you go for it. You're not too old. You're right on time. I know Jane. She started a podcast at 62, sharing her stories of life after retirement. And now she's reaching thousands of people every week. Also, Mark, who at 68 picked up painting for the first time. His art is now being showcased in galleries, and he's finding joy in every brushstroke. And then there's Linda, who started a thriving garden coaching business at 64. She teaches others to grow their own organic food and lives a life filled with purpose. These are just a few examples of people who decided it was never too late to start something new. They're living proof that age is just a number. If they can do it, so can you. No matter your passion, no matter your age, this is your time. Finding your purpose after retirement is one of the most profound journeys you'll embark on. And it's not about rushing to fill the void. It's about listening to what stirs your heart. When you're working, you often get caught up in routines and roles, but retirement offers you the freedom to explore what truly matters to you. Start small. What did you enjoy when you were younger? Is there something you always wanted to try but never had the time for? Maybe it's volunteering, maybe it's learning a new skill, or perhaps it's simply reflecting on what you've learned over the years and sharing that wisdom with others. Don't rush into it. Your purpose will reveal itself slowly as you give yourself permission to breathe and explore. What if I don't have support from family? I completely understand how lonely and discouraging that can feel. It's hard when the people closest to you don't understand or support your new path. But here's the thing. You have to make this journey for yourself, not for anyone else. The people around you will either come around or they won't. And that's okay. You need to surround yourself with people who uplift and inspire you. Look for communities, either online or in person, where you'll find others who understand what you're going through. Sometimes it's not about having support from family. It's about creating your own support system, finding your tribe who believes in you. Where do I begin if I have no money or energy? Starting with no money or energy can feel overwhelming, but it's not a barrier. It's an opportunity to get creative. Begin by using what you already have. What skills, knowledge, or passions do you have that you can start with without any big financial investment? Can you offer your expertise through a blog, podcast, or YouTube channel? Can you teach something you already know? And when it comes to energy, don't overexert yourself. Start small. Break your goal into tiny, manageable steps. You don't have to do everything all at once. Take one small action every day, and before you know it, you'll have built momentum. The energy comes as you start seeing progress, no matter how small. What if I fail again? First of all, I want you to know failure is not the end. It's just another step toward success. Every successful person has faced failure at some point. What matters is how you choose to view failure. Instead of seeing it as something that defines you, see it as a lesson, a redirection. If you fail, it's not a sign that you're too old or that you're not capable. It's a sign that you're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, and that's where the magic happens. So, when you fail, and you will, don't stay down. Learn from it, adjust, and get back up. Your past doesn't determine your future unless you let it. Keep moving forward, no matter what. Have you ever had to start over? Maybe it was after a big change, a heartbreak, or a new chapter in life. I'd love to hear your story. Share it below because someone out there needs to hear your words. You never know who you might inspire. And what about you? What's something you've always wanted to try but haven't yet? Maybe it's been on your mind for years, but you've been holding back. Tell me in the comments and let's start that conversation. Sometimes, just saying it out loud is the first step toward making it happen. If this video touched your heart, if it made you feel like it's not too late to begin again, I hope you'll stick around. There's so much more ahead for all of us. More stories, more inspiration, and more ways to make the most of this beautiful chapter of life. So, consider liking this video and subscribing.